Right. What do you think, Jill? Do we wait for
Zoom, baby? I'll zoom in.
It's 7 o'clock, so you can start. It's fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mike. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody.
Hi,
Thank-
Mike. Hello, Mike.
Hello there, fella. Hi. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you for giving your time to give us an update tonight.
Okay.
Right, let's start the meeting now. Good evening, everybody. We have apologies this evening from 5 councillors, Councillors Pennington, O'Connor, Dr. Scott, Page and Green. And those are the town councillors, and also from the 2 county councillors, Sam Bambridge and Emma Dawson. Emma has sent a report in. And we have Mike Wiseman joining us to tell us about the work he's been doing for Westgate. And item 2 on the agenda is members' interest. If anyone has any pecuniary interest to declare. Everybody all right with that? And we just quickly do the minutes, and then for expedience sake, item 7 is going to become item 4, which is you, Mike.
Thank you.
Update us, and then you can leave us.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Right. Does anybody have anything to say about the minutes? Any comments on the minutes? No.
No.
Everybody, would somebody like to propose? Councillor Wallin, seconded by Councillor Darlton. Thank you very much. Right.
Everybody agreed on the minutes.
Yes,
Thank
my
you.
favourite.
Thank you.
Agreed on the minutes. Thank you very much. Right. Over to you, Mike.
Thank you very much. First, good evening, everybody. I got involved with the cleaning off of the West Bay shelter, and having done the cleaning off, found we had a few problems over there, like 12 plus broken barristers. That's the verticals. We've brought the 15 in. We've already replaced 3, and we've now been given the okay by you to continue and finish the rest of them. The slope onto it is like a ski ramp. And I've asked the Thanet Council if they can give us permission to extend the slope to twice the length, which will make it much more bearable. It's not within the legal limit, because the legal limit would take the whole of the side of the shelter, which would be ridiculous. So I've given them a drawing, and they're coming back to me whether we can extend it by double and put a platform in the middle of it, which makes it reasonably okay for someone with a wheelchair. At the moment, it really is dangerous. So we're waiting for them to come back. Having done that, we will need to put a handrail along the slope, which is missing at the moment, and also a handrail edging the shelter, which is about 47 meters in total, which makes the shelter height safe. No one, to my knowledge, has ever fallen over it, but they will do one day. That is the format what we're doing on the top of the shelter. Below the shelter, there are 7 sections. Now we need really for the last, or the 2 nearest to Margate to be wooded up to make a position for the bins and the chairs and tables to go. So that gets the bins and chairs and tables away from the promenade, away from public viewing, and can be kept in order. That's the complete piece on the shelter. Now, what I'd like to do as well is to run which I've gone through with Kevin, who is in charge of the trees and the grass, etc., to put a path across from the major path to the road, which means anyone coming in with pushchairs or wheelchairs or shoes in the winter don't get wet. The path itself will be grass cuttable, so the grass cutter goes straight over the top. It should be in a plastic roll and need not be permanent. With regard to the underneath of the shelter, for most of you who haven't seen it, we've made an exhibition of paintings for children, and we've got 105 paintings in there. Now, all of a sudden, the people go to visit the shelter rather than walking past it. Go and have a look. There's no cost to the council at all on the bottom bit. It's all been done with bits and pieces, bits of wood, bits of this, bits of that. They've got 105 paintings so far, and people like it. The cost of the whole thing, I've no idea. I reckon probably about £4,000, including the handrails, and probably £1,000 for the walk across. But I haven't tried to raise money at all yet on it. We've got to wait for your permission and your okay on it. So back to you. In my opinion, the council would have preferred to knock it down. We really don't want that. TDC.
No, definitely not,
It's
because
cheaper.
there are some shelters in. Well, yes, but we're losing a heritage asset,
Yeah.
and there are some lovely shelters in the country, especially there's one in Wales that's particularly nice, and ours could be just as good. And it sounds like you're going to make it just as good and accessible as well. The non-permanent path sounds really good, because obviously, how is that? Is that does it have? Is it a flat surface? I'm thinking of high heels.
I don't
The
wear them.
non-permanent path.
The non-permanent path will have. Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah.
The non-permanent path will not be totally suitable for high heels, but it will let the grass come through, so you can keep the grass short. It keeps you dry, and it means you can get across from A to B. Otherwise, you've got to make a solid path, which means you have no green left. The grass will not be seen at all.
Right.
It can either be a rolled out. It's going to be 1 meter wide, not a huge width. 1 meter wide for walking and chairs, and it can either be done in connecting squares, or it can be done within a roll. But as I say, I will bring samples down before we even start that, so you can see what you'd like. But I've spoken generally to the public, and a lot of them, and everyone has said, brilliant idea. Why didn't we do it before? I said, why didn't you? Everyone likes it. There's not one person who doesn't feel it's wrong, but you also need a little bit of an entrance off the road where the grass is being banged away by cars, etc. So I would suggest that you have a couple of poles, no parking in that area, so you can get on and out of it. All the people with wheelchairs, brilliant. They can get to the top of the cliff top without having to go to the bottom and march up. So that's a good point. It's nothing clever. It's just something simple.
Yes, quite.
No, that's really good. I know that Jill is speaking to Adrian on Friday. Is this something that you can mention to him, Jill?
Yes, I certainly can. Yes, I can include that in my list.
And one good thing that came out, well, one of the good things that came out of the one-way system that was installed, those springing bollards, somebody suggested that they are installed where you might otherwise have a dog bone, to keep, for instance, where Mike was saying about the edge of the curb there on the grass. If you had one either side, that would prevent cars obstructing the access to the new path. If that might be something that
Yes.
you could mention. Excellent. Mike, when you said about the bins and tables being being moved away, to what site?
No, the bins at the moment the first two sections of the underneath, I enclosed with my sister-in-law's old shed, etc., and a few other bits, and made a space that they're in there tidy. They can be swept up, clean, kept clean, washed out, and kept there all the time, out of the view of people walking past. And the first section is chairs and tables only. The second section is the four bins. Sorry, 4 bins in the second section and 2 bins in the first section, plus all the chairs and tables, and the whole lot go away automatically. That they just kept away, tidy. Before they were all over the promenade. They were by the sea. You know, and it's in the other part of the shelter. So the other part of the shelter now is entirely nice. The seat's been redone. We've repainted the seat. The walls are covered in pictures, and we're doing the ceiling. We're doing all the planets on the ceiling, so people can see the planets in the right order and size. And people are going there to look at it, which they enjoy it, which is much better than a pit. And
How
it was
about the
before. Go on.
How about the decoration? When you've installed the new balustrades and you've installed the handrail, what about the actual, painting?
I haven't gone anywhere near that because it frightens me before I get to that stage. It can be repainted, but initially, my idea was, especially on the downstairs, was to stop people looking at the bad bit of decoration and making them look at something nice rather than the bad bits. Because otherwise, in my way, if the lady's got nice eyes, you don't look at her shoes, do you? And the same thing with the walls. If there's pictures on the wall, you look at the pictures and you don't look at the bad wall. And people are doing that. They're not commenting on the walls and decoration. They're commenting now on the pictures, which is. But obviously, in the future, yes, you can paint the whole lot up. But the back wall is unpaintable because it's damp. It's got earth behind it and everything else, so nothing will stick on it. The rest you can paint up. But unfortunately, what the council did 5 to 7 years ago, they filled all the balustrades in, put filler and painted them, which is brilliant. But the danger is there, and the danger is it them dropping out, and it would have happened, and that's a bit scary. But I don't want to throw blame around. They were lethal, and now they won't be. Painting,
No,
I haven't gone through the painting because basically there's more important things to do on the structure.
No, that's going to be a huge. Well, it already is a huge improvement on how it was. Does anybody have any comments on this? Councillor Scott.
Evening, Michael. How are
Hi,
you?
good day. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you again.
I missed you.
Just to basically pass on the thanks that Mike contributes to Westgate on a year-by-year basis, really. He's restored our shelters. He's doing more restorations for Westgate. So, I mean, he's an asset, basically, to this wonderful town from a wonderful person. So I just want to extend my thanks. So thanks again, Mike. And, when I do find the time, don't worry, I'll be down there with a...
I know where you are. Thank you for your help as well.
Take care, Mike.
Thanks.
Councillor Donaldson.
Hi, Mike. Good
Hello,
to see you again.
And you?
I think it's absolutely brilliant. That's a brilliant idea to have that kind of wheelchair access to the cliff edge. And also, you're doing a fantastic job on the, on the balustrade and the shelters. It's really brilliant. And thank you very much for everything you've done for Westgate. And hopefully in March we will be cleaning out the boating pool.
Oh yes.
Whether we get money from the Margate Town deal or not, there's another contingency in that businesses have promised to chip in, and also the council will chip in as well with the balance kind of thing. So that's a definite go. Thanks very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Nice to see you. Take care. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Jill, where are we with the finance on this?
Are you asking
Okay.
me?
Sorry?
Mike.
Yes, no, Jill.
Oh, Jill, sorry, Mike. My apologies.
Yes, Mike, you mentioned waiting on the town council. Go ahead.
We had to have insurance via Westgate Council, so if anything did go wrong, so if I dropped a bit of stone or something on someone's head, we're covered. So the two of us, Phil and I, who are working on it, are now both covered and signed up with the insurance, which is important. I know it sounds funny, if you try and raise the money first, you never actually get the job done. So we wanted to drive into it. So when you ask someone for money, you say, and this is what we've done, this is what we're doing now, and this is what we're going to do. But something has been done already to motivate it. There is money around. There are people who will give money, but I just need to get to that stage where we're okay to do the slope. The slope's very important area-wise.
Yes, because I mean, would that lead to Finbar's restaurant, or are there still? No, it would lead straight to Finbar's, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Access. So that's,
Yeah, but I before I started, I spoke to Alan at Finbar's and said, Alan, you and I must be separate. I'm doing this for the shelter. You're the bars. The two of us aren't connected. You will get some benefit. That's fine. And you will give back some benefit. That's fine as well. But we are not connected. It was important that we establish that on day one. Because Finbar's has nothing to do with me. I have no connection with it. I use the toys occasionally, but that's all.
yes, well, that's fair enough.
No, it was very important that we didn't get the two lines crossed, because I'm doing it for the shelter. I grew up here. I grew up on there, grew up underneath it, and it's important to me that it's preserved and used. It's not just make it nice. It's got to be used.
Yes, no, absolutely. Where is the funding coming from?
Eventually,
Yes.
I don't know yet.
Where are you hoping?
So, oh.
Jill,
Sorry.
yes, Jill.
So yes, so what we've done is the lottery funding that we had for Westgate and Bloom has funded the balusters. So we've purchased those, haven't we? We've done that. That was resolved. Then I spoke to TDC to get a license for these works to be undertaken. So our public liability is covering the volunteers, which is Mike and Phil at the moment, to undertake the remedial repairs with the balusters on the shelter. So all that is in hand and that's all been funded. So now what Mike's doing is looking at the cost for doing the slope and the path across, which we don't know what those figures are yet. So there has been no approaches to anybody yet to, try and secure funding. I mean, maybe it's something that we need to speak to the district council about as well, I think.
Chemistry is actually no. Swap these two because that's why we be one. And
Some background noise going on.
This is my point. You're not focused. You're focused.
Oh, is it Mike? Sorry, Mike. I didn't realise it was coming from you. You're on mute. We can't hear you.
Mike, you're muted.
You've muted. It's down the bottom. Go down to the bottom of the screen. If you take the cursor down to the bottom of the screen, and there's a little microphone there.
Is that better?
Yes, that's good. We can hear you now.
No, I'll be in trouble with my son now for the rest of the week. Karen, please. Yes.
Yes, no, I was only asking about funding because of what Mike said earlier about waiting on the town council. And it would be, it'd be good to find out who would be prepared to contribute.
Yes, I agree with that.
Is Finbar's contributing at all? I know you said it's separate.
I think he would if asked, but I won't ask him because it's got to be done in a certain sequence. And his business is not critical to the shelter.
No, but it does enhance his business.
Of
doesn't
course it does, yeah. But I try to keep it separate until this stage when you speak to me and say, can I do something? Yes, I will do it, but I want to keep it separate until that stage. So if you want me to ask him, I will. And an amount,
Right. Well, that's a collective decision, isn't it?
yeah.
Bill, do you have anything to say about this? Any more to say? Bill, do you have any other comments?
No, not really at this stage. It was just for Mike to come along this evening, give you all an update,
Yeah.
and then we can have a conversation next month potentially once figures are known.
I think you're talking in terms of £4,000 to £5,000 in total, plus the balusters. But that, and to be fair, that includes the safety rail that should have been there years and years and years ago. The safety rail on the slope that should have been there years and years ago, and the rest is new. But I'm surprised no one's fallen off for years. That's the truth. And I never remembered anyone falling from there, but they will go one day.
But you'll remember, I mean, our bridges were much lower. People seem to be more careful when in the time when those bridges were built and when the shelter was built.
Oh yes.
That sun deck, people were just a little bit more self-aware, were they not?
Well, they're on the Covenant of Westgate. Hold on, please. Hold on. William. On the St Mildred's Bay, there was a covenant that no rain's meant to be used at all. So you can see the difference, can't you? And that's a covenant on Westgate, which they had to break for safety purpose. I always used to jump off the promenade. Yeah.
Yes. Prom jumping.
Oh yes, you as well, was it?
Oh, I prom jumped. Yes.
Yes, and well, no, but in the interest of safety, I can remember when a pram was taken by someone who's staying at the Ingleton, now the Swan, onto the end of the cliff. They were drawing on the cliff, and the wind took the pram baby into the sea, and that wasn't nice. And the baby died. But,
Well, that was tragic.
Sorry?
That was tragic.
Oh yeah. That was on the point beyond the cafe, right on that point.
That's not going to well, obviously that's not going to happen again, and we've got railings. If we have railings on the sun deck, that won't happen there either. So it's going to look really lovely.
Yes.
And I hope that we can get plenty of funding, plenty of sponsors.
If you're happy with it, it will happen. It will happen. The sponsorship can be nicked from people.
Yes, well, as you say, everybody has been positive about the changes, haven't they?
Yes.
Everybody has been positive.
Everybody. So the only thing I don't want the council to insist on is the pathway to come down the regulation wheelchair slope, because that will take it right the way the whole length of the back, which is it's just madness. It will ruin the whole thing. And my suggestion is a compromise which takes it just over halfway, and it works. But I've spoken to Luke Glover, and I've given him a drawing, and he's looking at it now.
Well, let's hope that that he is sensible about it and understands that that's the design that works.
Yes, it will do, provided the insurance covers it, etc. Yes, thank you very much indeed.
Well, thank you very much, Mike.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Nice to see you all, and take care. Enjoy your meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Brilliant. Well, that was really positive.
Yeah.
Highly positive. Right, next item on the agenda is the Town Clerk's report. Thank you, Jo.
Thank you very much. Okay, so it's not too much you'll be pleased to know this month. Just to say that again, it's been quite a busy month. Town Council magazine is now finalised and gone to print. The magazine is scheduled to commence delivery on the 9th of October, weather permitting. If there are any businesses that would like to advertise in the magazine, please contact Hoff Media. It's been a hive of activity in the past few weeks. We've had a couple of speedwatch sessions completed. The DFib has been installed at the Swan on Sea Road. The new notice board has been installed on the Town Council office. This did require some negotiating on my part to talk to the Conservation Officer at TDC, just to make sure that, to let her know we're not interfering with the heritage street scene, and we're just seeking to centralise the location of our statutory notices. The flagpole has been installed on Sea Road, and this was another example of collaborative working. TDC have now adopted a policy to assist all local councils when requesting a civic orientated proposal in relation to licence fees, which is good news for everybody. The picnic tables and benches have been installed on the community green, and the additional 7 public litter bins that the Town Council purchased have all been installed. There's been the Great Britain September clean-up. There were a couple of litter picks undertaken by the Town Council and some residents. And there's been some weeding and planting at the train station on platform 1. There was a meeting last week involving the Heritage Centre. We're forming arrangements for a small event to mark the 150th anniversary of the opening of Westgate train station. More details to follow in due course. I've attended the Calcs Clark conference on the 24th of September, and this was informative as ever. Excellent value in the virtual offering. We covered various topics and had updates on insurance, investment for local councils and legal updates. Also an update from SLCC on best practice for officers, as well as engaging presentations from the vastly experienced Town Clerk of Dover. The next conference I'll be attending next week is the SLCC Clerks Conference, which is absolutely excellent value for money this year, with a whole week of workshops, activities and presentations for just £25. I intend to take full advantage of the scheduled events in the week next week, and I think I've booked already 26 sessions, so that's over 5 days. So that's going to be really interesting. 1st of November is the installation of the poppies again, which Community Spirit Craft Group undertake each year. So if you want to get involved in that, you can either contact me or Lorraine Hambridge. And the Community Garden Awards were given out recently, which basically it was Westgate and Bloom. We were going to hopefully have the inspectors come round to look at what we've been doing. But because of the situation with the virus, they did desktop awards this year. So we were establishing for Sea Road, which is really good because we've only just started. And then there was another one for the business group, which was on Station Road, the Planters, and that's improving. And then there was another one given for the community green, which again was establishing, and the allotments as well. So all those categories and little areas in the town all received a certificate this year, which was a desktop presentation instead of actual physically walking around the town. So hopefully we can build on that and, you know, get more people involved, which would be brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. And I just want to say how much you really did negotiate on behalf of the Town Council for both the notice board, the excellent, much improved notice board system, and also the flagpole. I know you put an awful lot of work into that, making it affordable for the Town Council, and also providing new policies with TDC. So that's really good. With the Clerks conference and all things clerking, I don't know how other councillors feel, but the role of the officer is not so obvious as the role, you know, the role of councillors to you is very clear, but the role of officers isn't quite so clear to councillors, I don't think. I mean, please, everybody comment if you don't feel that that's the same. And it would be, going forward, it would be good to have a little bit more insight on the perspective of officers versus councillors. You know, in an effort to have a good working relationship. I'm just putting that out there. I don't know if other people are interested. But anyway, I hope you enjoy, and I'm sure you will enjoy the Clerks Conference. Thank you. Thanks, Jill. Right, Emma Dawson sent in a report. The first item is the pedestrian crossing consultation. And according to the highways officers, there's been really positive feedback. There's been really positive feedback on that. But there are several issues that have been raised and need looking at, and certain changes need to be made to the plan. And the highways are currently compiling a report and a consultation for everybody to take part in, which will come out in December. So that's not, you know, that's not something that's fallen foul of COVID. That's still going on. She says, with regards to the active travel scheme, it was in place for 2 weeks, and then we had the meeting with KCC senior leadership, which was a very professional meeting, and it was very interesting. But it was agreed that there'd been a lot of public opposition to it, and the highways didn't have additional funding to correct the wrong way one way. And Tim Reed from the highways said that you know, the removal could be done, changes could be made quickly, but tweaks would take a long time. So they advised that they pulled the scheme. Emma says that from her perspective, 20 miles an hour 20 mile an hour zone and cycle lane would have been adequate to assist with active travel, which is what the government funding was about. And the director of highways did concede that lessons had been learned, and regarding the design stage and the fact that MPs, town councillors, residents, and obviously retailers had not been consulted on, and that was a failing. But that seems to be a theme throughout at the moment. I mean, MPs are very vocal about the coronavirus law. There's a lot of opposition to the white planning paper. People are speaking up. Localism isn't forgotten about. The funding for Westgate Town, Emma has actually achieved £2,000 for lighting. So that's really good. We'll have that for Christmas. So thank you very much, Emma. Also, on that note about the one way, I think it's really important, and this came up last night at the business forum, that retailers in Station Road found that the aggressive and wholly unnecessary comments on social media were as damaging to their trade as was the one-way system, taking traffic out of town rather than into the shopping area. So, you know, it's not productive to be aggressive on social media. It's much better to speak up in an informed way. They said there was a lot of misinformation, such as all the parking had been taken away. But speaking up effectively does enable good changes. So hopefully people in Westgate will hold back on unnecessary and unpleasant comments, because it just doesn't help. Right, that's the report from the County Councillor. And Councillor Donaldson, item number 7, Councillor's reports. I know you.
Yeah, well, I've been sort of fairly busy, even though there is this kind of coronavirus problem. The first thing is the boating pool that I mentioned before to Mike. And what we're trying to do is get money from Margate Team Deal, where what we would do is we would dredge the swimming pool on Margate Sands and also dredge the boating pool simultaneously with the same plant and equipment. So there'd be a, you know, a sort of 360-degree digger and dump trucks to take the sand away. And so we're going to try and get that through the Margate Town Deal. Also the Viking Trail, you know, why the Viking Trail should end at, you know, the end of Margate is not really logical. I mean, surely it can go further west. And Joanna this afternoon said to me that maybe it ought to go all the way to Reculver. And I thought maybe Herne Bay as well, you know, don't leave anybody out. But Anyway, well, that's what we're trying to do. But I mean, we'll do the boating pool anyway because you have another contingency to you know, to provide the money for that. It's not very much. It's only about like £1,000, I think. The other thing I've been involved with is the Pat Robson of URC, and we're trying to get her final. She's got their Christchurch is having quite a major refurbishment. She's managed to obtain 35,000 for a sort of £56,000 refurbishment. The other 21,000 we're trying to get from the National Church Trust, and I'm going to be meeting her again next week. The other thing is that I've been involved with is our kitchen, which is Sharon Goodyear, and where we were going to have summer kitchens in St Crispin's and also in Ursuline schools, which provides, you know, hot meals for school children and their families, etc. What Sharon actually did was she set up an operation in Margate. It's actually in Margate High Street next to the Kentucky Fried Chicken. And this is the, look if you see this. You see that? That's
All right.
that's in the, so that's Sharon there. And just like Mike Wiseman, she's a very inspirational person. You know, a bit eccentric, but brilliant, So it's a very successful project. In Westgate, there is an operation which is run by the Lifeboat Project and Changing Minds, which is in Grenville Lodge, which is rather brilliant. And I was at our kitchen on Saturday morning, and they wrote me into, I sort of sorted their book out for them. So I'm now their actual accountant, and I'm going to deal with returns to company's house, prepare their accounts for them. I don't think I'm going to get paid for it. I don't think I could charge pay for it. But it's quite upsetting actually, you know, because food poverty and the impact that food poverty has on people is as bad, you know, as we say. And it was a bit tear-jerking on Saturday. Some of the people that are so grateful, you know, for this little bit of help. Yes, it's a brilliant project. That's
Thank you. No, thank you, David. You've obviously been very busy. Can I just ask, the food poverty, we throw away so much.
Yeah, I know.
How?
Yep. Well, Sharon, you know, is what Sharon does is gleaning, and she works with local farmers. And unbelievably, you know, I mean, farmers there was a farmer with a beautiful field of curly broccoli, and the buyer from Waitrose came along, looked at the broccoli and said, it's 48 hours too old. It hasn't got a long enough shelf life. So what you do with that broccoli, you just dig it in. And of course, where the supermarket is so particular, it keeps the price of food up. You know, that keeps the price of broccoli up. And it's the same with potatoes as well. If a potato's too big or a potato's too small, it's pig food. It's ridiculous.
That's shocking. And I know it's the same with tomatoes. I know through the air conditioning person that there are bins of tomatoes which, because they are not the right shape for.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonky tomatoes. Yeah. So, but she's very good at, and that's where she gets these lovely strawberries. Last year she had a great load of cherries, and the cherries were too big because they were like Victoria plums. They were great big things like that. But absolutely delicious, and it really is terrible. But of course, it keeps, if they're so choosy about the produce, it keeps the prices up, and therefore the supermarket's profits. It's atrocious, really.
It's criminal. Thank you, Councillor Donaldson. Do any other councillors have anything to report? I know you're busy, Councillor Scott. Nightingale. Councillor Scott.
Many thanks. Yeah, I'll keep it very brief. Sort of follow on from obviously 2 reports. First off, from our KCC councillor Emma Dawson. So I just want to extend my thanks to both the KCC councillors for obviously getting involved and well, portraying the public's and the businesses' intentions and speaking on behalf of county about the one-way scheme. I myself undertook on a district level a little bit of a consultation, talked with the businesses myself on Saturday the 19th, and had that chat and opportunity to engage with the public as well. Just merely walking down the high street, people were stopping me, asking me what I was up to, what I was doing, and through no prompt, it was normally, you know, the one-way system isn't working, aesthetically it was wrong. So we could argue how the one-way system is and should be for Westgate, but in it was current scheme and it was current circumstances, it didn't fit well at all. It didn't promote the active travel in any way whatsoever. Obviously, you can only just look at the plant, no provisions for cycling, anything like that. So, I mean, I think as a community effort, we've all sort of engaged some way or another, certainly on the district and a KCC level. And I do trust, obviously, the businesses and members of the public made their feelings quite clear. So, yeah, we can certainly move on to something a bit more positive. Other than obviously the removal of the scheme, which was, I mean, one thing that I've been quite strongly sort of supporting and have done for the last few years, sort of similar to what David, Councillor Donaldson has been doing, is the Thanet Open Christmas. So it's the open Christmas of the churches, which is an annual thing. Each year they provide hot meals. It's for anyone who wishes to come down to, normally it's held in Cliftonfield Community Centre. Anyone can attend, and it's essentially to have carols, a bit of Christmas fun, Christmas cheer, and get out from the cold and just meet new people. It's certainly something I've enjoyed volunteering over the past few years. It's just to sort of announce that obviously due to the whole 2020 gate situation that we have here, is going to be in a very different format. So I've been trying to have the communications with them as best I can. I sit on the committee for them now. Unfortunately, due to other meetings sort of conflicting, it has been somewhat difficult. But how it's coming about is I'm looking to hopefully secure some funding, as well as basically just seeing what we want to do this time round, especially due to the circumstances of not being able to have that sort of meal situation if we're looking at how it's going at the moment. They're certainly looking into doing a different format. They still would very much welcome any sort of donations of gifts, food, non-perishable, that sort of thing. Certainly would be welcomed, and you can find them on sort of Open Christmas Thanet on the Facebook page, but I can certainly circulate some details out. As soon as I know more details, then I'll certainly let the town council members know. But yeah, I certainly just think it's a positive thing, but at least we'll be looking to have something for Christmas for those who may need it. So excellent. So many thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Scott. Councillor Nightingale.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Where's the next sound? Still no sound?
I hear you, it's just very...
Okay, I'll talk very loud then. I just wanted to report back a bit on some of the visits that were undertaken during the lockdown period, and particularly a few that I've been following up since. Some of you might not be aware that one particular incident where the town clerk got a call, fortunately she never heard it, at 2 o'clock in the morning from someone in a pretty distressed state. And I saw Clark asked me to speak to her the next morning, which I phoned and did. And the lady was feeling that basically she couldn't see any future. So we arranged to meet her and take her along to what is the lighthouse, and but she never came on the first evening, first Friday morning. So her response was that she didn't feel she could go on her own. So we went the next Friday and met her there. Anyway, to cut long story short, we've been going on a morning to speak to her and to meet her in the lighthouse. Lifeboat. And on lifeboat, I should say, not lighthouse. And it's been really good because she sent us an email last week to say that she felt she got her life back now, and just thanking everybody for how she'd been accepted there. And I just think that was very positive. There's been a few clients that had phoned in. Some we found in a pretty difficult condition. One person, we went to collect their prescriptions for them, only to be told in Boots that the gentleman had been paying for his prescriptions, which I found hard, seeing as he was paying £30 every fortnight for this medication. So to cut long story short, I knew that he should be entitled to his free medication. So I knew the appropriate, well, actually the appropriate form here for him. So I filled in for him. He couldn't believe that he'd been paying for his prescriptions and was entitled to freedom of these prescriptions. So I filled in the form, took him round to the GP surgery to be countersigned, and subsequently got an exemption from all prescriptions. As I say, he'd been paying £30 odd a time. And he was quite surprised that he'd been doing this for a long period of time. This was someone who was housebound, but under 60 years of age, with a very serious debilitating condition. So I'm still going on with him because there's other things that he's entitled to, but it's brought home just how many people behind locked doors, as they've been, are entitled to many things. So I'm hoping to perhaps run a clinic on giving advice for benefits in the when it's possible. I did have a meeting last week in the lifeboat with somebody from TDC, Ageless Thanet, who I said what I felt would be possible and what I'd like to do. They rang me back on Friday, I think, last week, to say that it was a good idea, but they didn't feel that I could get under their remit because I wouldn't be covered by insurance. I don't know what that means, but that's what they said. So hopefully, when it's possible, and with the council's consent, town council's consent, I'd like to do this in the town council office when that's a possibility. So that's just an update of what's ongoing from lockdown in a positive sense, really. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Councillor Nightingale, because I know how important that work is. You know, it makes a really big difference to quite vulnerable older people who easily find that the complexities of that sort of work is just too much for them, and they need a guiding hand, and you give that to them, as you did throughout lockdown on the phone lines. So that's really, really good. Councillor Pennington did attend the Calc Executive Committee meeting, which was quite interesting, and he was able to send over to Calc our original reserves policy, which does need a bit of updating, but Calc were very interested in his methodology and the fact that he felt that the risks should be specified rather than just a rule of thumb on how much we have reserves for. Calc, obviously, this year finances they're not too bad. They're balanced out by the fact that there has been little expenditure because of the pandemic, but the membership fees are going up by 3% for both Calc and NAUC. And he mentioned the work with both Calc and NAUC for the bite-sized courses. And it's good to see that councillors are going on the training, both this month and in December. That's really good news. So thank you for that. Yes, that's all on councillor reports. So do we have anybody requesting to speak? Jill?
No, nobody,
No.
no requests.
Okay, so is Mr. King actually with us? Is Mr. King with us? Is he listening to this? Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Sorry, what did you say, Jill? I think
You've removed yourself.
you've muted and then
Sorry.
no, that's all right.
Yes,
Busy
he's
day.
present. He is present in the meeting. He's got his microphone muted and his video is off, but he is in the meeting. Yes.
He is listening. Okay, that's good to know. Right. Next on the agenda is the finance reports. Now, obviously, we've all looked at these. Does anybody have any comments? They are the monthly finance reports, ably put together by Town Clerk and the Vice Chair. Does anybody up? No comments from anyone?
No.
Okay, right. Item number 9, and this is
Sorry,
decision required on this one. Sorry,
can I just ask that they're all received? Thank you. The finance reports. Can we just receive
Yes.
them? Thank you.
would someone like to propose the finance and everybody vote? How did we do? No, sorry, we.
Councillor Matthew Scott proposed.
Breakdown here. A proposer, please. Councillor Donaldson, and a seconder, Councillor Scott, and everybody in favour. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Item number 9 is the container for the town council store. The town clerk has very kindly sourced three quotes here. The first one is local, and the second one, Great West Autos. They're local, aren't they, Jill?
Fairly, yes. Probably I just need to explain the background to this. Clearly, the huts on the old Boundary Road has been licensed for a number of years now by the town council. We don't pay a fee each year. We could pay £1 if demanded, but the district council brought it to my attention that they do want possession back. Clearly, it's in Westbrook anyway, the hut, and it's not very secure. It never has really been. So there isn't very much in there, bulky items. We don't keep anything of any value in there. So it was brought to my attention. They do want possession. So that's why I've brought this to council, because we clearly need somewhere, a container that we can store items and more securely as well, which would help with the not taking up space in the office. So that's the reason report's been brought to council this evening. I'm happy to take any questions if anyone's got any questions.
No, I think it's, I mean, the hut has always been contentious because it's actually in Westbrook and not Westgate. Yes, sorry, I wasn't stealing your info on that. But the final quote, the budget shipping containers, where are they located?
So they're an online containing company. So I just did a comparison so that we've got somewhere that is purely online. They couldn't give me the transportation costs when I put the report together, but I've since found out that the transportation cost would be £335 plus VAT. So that makes the total cost of £1,660 plus VAT. And as you'll see, the Trade Container Services, which the most local company, which Ramsgate Harbour Services use, is £1,600 plus VAT. So that's just to give you an update on that.
Yes, I mean, I don't know. Have councillors looked this up online?
No.
I mean, the Trade Container Services, the gallery was all about containers, and they do parts and accessories for long term. The Great Western Autos, that was more about transport, wasn't it? I mean, they do containers, but they were more on the transport moving side.
Yes.
And I wasn't so sure about the budget shipping containers.
No.
So we need to make a decision on this. I don't know, do councillors have any comments on these containers? No. I would I don't know about you, Jill, but I would favour the trade container services, the used container at 1,600 plus VAT.
That was going to be my recommendation, yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Can we have a proposer for that, please? Councillor Wallin and Councillor Donaldson, and everybody in favour? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jill, for that.
Thank you.
And then the next item on the agenda is the AGAR. Over to you, Jill. Just to explain.
Thank you very much. Okay, so those that sit on the Finance and General Purposes Committee will know that this has already come before that particular committee, because now we've got the notice of conclusion of audit has been published. So PKF Littlejohn, our external auditors, have now agreed our accounts. So we are audited accounts now. So the notice of the conclusion of audit has now been posted on our website. It's in our Town Council office notice board and the notice board by the train station as well. So this just brings to the attention of residents or anyone in the community that wants to closely look at our audited accounts. They are available on the website. They are available in our Town Council notice board. And if they want a copy of them, we do charge £1, which is what other local councils tend to do as well if somebody wants a copy. And the date of the announcement was the 28th of September to fit in with the 30th of September deadline, which is when they like you to have these published. And they will remain available up to 5 years to meet our statutory requirements. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill, and thank you for all your effective work on that and your reliability. Item number 10.
Oh.
Councillor Pennington.
Sorry, Councillor Donaldson had a question.
Oh, beg your pardon. Councillor Donaldson.
Yeah, it's not a question. I just wanted to say thanks to Jill and her team for doing such a smashing job for, working day in, day out.
Yes.
Throughout the year. Thank you very much for that. You did a great job. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah. Item number 11. Councillor Pennington joining the Highways and Environment, Planning, Highways and Environment Committee. Does any councillor have any objection to that? No. Town Clerk, is there any reason why Councillor Pennington should not be joined with
No.
Planning, Highways and Environment?
No reason at all. He just wanted to advise that he is stepping off the Finance and General Purposes Committee in order that he's not committing to too many committees at once. So he will be joining the Planning Committee if everyone's in agreement, but he will be stepping off the Finance Committee at the same time. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have a thank you? Do we have a proposer for this? Councillor Donaldson and a seconder, Councillor Nightingale. And is everybody in favour? Thank you. All done. Right. I hope that everyone's looked at this. The Environment Readiness Fund. Jill, do you want to explain this?
Yes, that's fine. So we've been contacted because basically the Environment Agency are setting up a fund that's in the design phase. And what they're hoping is that local councils and other stakeholders can feed into the design stage of the fund to input really from a local perspective. I don't anticipate that we would actually be asking for any of the funds, because I don't suspect that the town council will have any projects that we're proposing. I mean, I might be wrong that once the funds put together the design, we might think actually there are aspects of this that we could potentially apply for, but I don't think we'd have that sort of expertise and skills within our small resources here. Clearly, someone like the district council, that's going to be something they'll be closely looking at, because this is all put together to try and meet sort of economical and eco credentials and reducing transmissions and carbon emissions and all this sort of thing. So that's what they're doing. They're putting together a fund that they're designing at the moment. So I've registered the interest of the local council, us, to say that we would like to be involved in those design input. So we will be hearing in the coming weeks or months about the next stage. But just to bring that to members' attention, really, that this is what the Investment Readiness Fund is about, the aims of the fund, which hopefully you've had an opportunity to read, how it can support projects and how it will work and what activities can be funded. So it's quite a good little document they put together there, and it was just really bring it to your attention, and hopefully in the coming weeks and months we'll get an opportunity to input to the design of the fund.
Thank you, Jill. I mean, this is really interesting because it's about supporting natural environment projects which generate revenue from the ecosystem services. I wasn't too sure what ecosystem services were, but that's the natural environment that benefits us as humans, which includes the agro ecosystems, which is about the agricultural land, and new methods of farming which conserve water and improve the fertility of the soil. So it'd be really interesting to see what comes through from them. How did you register us, Jill? Because it was, are we project developers or intermediate advisors or we're not investors,
No.
are we?
No, you could actually register as a local authority. So that's what I did. I registered as a local authority
Okay.
because we would anticipate to be helping you with the design of the fund and have input there. It wasn't that I was suggesting that we're going to apply for any of the funding, because I don't think we've
No.
clearly got expertise within a small resources within a small council to do that. But clearly the district council will be closely looking at this. And you know, if we can have an opportunity as a local council to input on what the local needs could potentially be, that's only got to be a positive thing.
Oh, absolutely. Especially as we've got agro ecosystems, and we've also got the aquatic ecosystems to think of. So there's quite a lot that we should be able to put input with that. No, thank you for registering, because I know it was very, very short notice. Was there any explanation on that, or is this just COVID short notice time? Is everything short notice?
I was going to say there was no explanation. I mean,
But it was
but at
literally
least
24 hours, wasn't it?
yes.
You know, you've got 24 hours to decide whether to register or not.
Yeah.
Item number 13, Thanet Local Plan Review. Do any councillors have anything to add to the comments that we've already put in? The deadline for this is Friday. And this is not the decision making for the meeting. So far, two councillors have input to this, and I don't know if anybody here has anything else they want to add. If they do, then it needs to be in to the clerk by Friday. Is that correct, Jill?
Yes, please. If I could say 12 noon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, I spoke to Jill earlier, and item number 14 is possibly best to defer to the Planning and Highways and Environment Committee meeting next week, which is just within the deadline. The government consultations on reforming the planning system, that's the agenda item. I've just realised I've omitted to read out the agenda item headings, but anybody interested in the meeting will have obviously downloaded an agenda or read it. The government debate on the planning white paper is this Thursday, the 8th, and NALC have requested that we feed back from member councils by the 15th of October. There are some quite meaty questions in the NALC consultation, and I felt that it needed a little bit more time.
Okay.
Do any councillors tonight have comments on the consultation questions? Because although there are yes, no, not sure, if you're ticking on the no, you have to provide a statement. You have to provide information. And as I say, it seems to me quite meaty, and it's for the Planning and Highways and Environment Committee.
Mm.
Do any councillors have any comments? No?
No.
We did, you were in agreement with that, weren't you, Jill, that we defer it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, that's fine with me. Yes.
That's advisable. All right then, thank you. Well, that concludes the meeting at 2004.
Oh, well done.
Thank you. And thank you, Jill. Thank you, councillors.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Joanna. Thank you. Good night.